There was probably more chance of a stage musical of Screaming Lord Sutch being made than one on the life of Jeremy Corbyn. But then, real life being more absurd than fiction, we now have both. A play about the founder and former leader of the Monster Raving Loony party is transferring to the West End, and we'll be talking to the playwright James Graham in just a moment. First, though, here's Giles.
The youngest contender of the five, the national teenage candidate, is a 22-year-old pop singer whose latest disc is called Jack the Ripper.
The funny thing, and he was funny, about David Sutch was that for a man who became a monster raving loony, he was far from stupid or mad. In 1966, he stood for the National Teenage Party in Huyton against PM Harold Wilson.
For David Edward Sutch, 585 votes.
Promoting a lowering of the voting age from 21. He wasn't just a novelty politician, though, but a 60s wild man on the music scene. He played alongside Keith Moon. This is a rehearsal scene from a romp of a play about his life, coming to London soon. He might have stayed with music were it not for getting shot at in America during a mugging. And he came back in the 1980s and back into politics in 1983. The Monster Raving Loony party, an attempt to prick political pomposity and have a laugh, which, in the infamously heated South Bermondsey by-election of that year, was probably needed.
Lord David Edward Sutch.
Official Monster Raving Loony party.
97.
Though over time, not everyone saw the joke.
People like you're ruining this country, you!
Loonies contested by-elections and general elections, often standing side by side with prime ministers, and by 1997, Lord Sutch was included in a novelty range of leaders' chocolate heads. But the party's legendary moment was in the first Bootle by-election of 1990, where the Loonies upset an otherwise rather mundane affair, as the BBC reported.
The other fragments of the shattered alliance who disagreed with merger were represented in Bootle, the Liberal at least avoiding the indignity suffered by the SDP, who were beaten by the Monster Raving Loony party. Lord Sutch immediately offered an electoral pact to the SDP.
David Sutch's suicide in 1998 did not mean that loonydom ended. He was much missed. But what's really funny is that loonydom's legacy includes absurd policies that actually became law. Passports for pets, 24-hour licensing laws, lowering the voting age, legalisation of commercial radio and the abolition of the 11+ exam. And that things that were once considered utterly absurd are now law is probably the best tribute to the Loonies and satirises genuine policies that might actually be crazy. But then in British politics, such is life.
The first cabinet reshuffle. Come and shuffle along a bit. Here we go, all right? The first shuffle.
That is a novel take on a cabinet reshuffle. I do those at home quite a lot. Giles still not reporting there. And the political playwright James Graham is here, as is the current leader of the Monster Raving Loony party, Howling Laud. Welcome to both of you. First of all, James, why Screaming Lord Sutch and the Monster Raving Loony party?
It makes perfect sense to me, unlike weirdly, unlike other party leaders or politicians that often have a sort of shelf life. Screaming Lord Sutch and the Monster Raving Loonies represent a kind of constance through modern British political history. I think the first election that Screaming Lord Sutch stood for was 1963, which was the Perfumer by-election, and here they are still standing today. So as a slightly comic but also important look at how politics and democracy has changed for the past 50, 60 years, I thought it was quite a fun way to do that.
So you've always been there on the stage since the 1960s. What do you make of this play?
I've not seen it yet.
No, but the idea of it.
Absolutely wonderful. And I expect Screaming Lord Sutch is smiling down on him now.
Do you think you'd be delighted by the prospect?
Accolade, yes.
Yeah, I mean, what about
certainly.
the comedic sort of side of it? I mean, they do provide, of course, the party and some of its characters great comedy for you to write with.
They do, but also I think for me, I actually sometimes find, I mean, people can disagree on these sorts of candidates now that are imitating what Alan does and these single-issue candidates that sometimes aren't always particularly serious. But actually, I think what they do represent is something quite moving, which is the reminder to all of of us, that it's not, that politics is not just about anyone having a vote, but also that anyone can stand. And, you know, if Screaming Lord Such can stand, and if, respectfully, Howling Laud Hope can stand, then anyone can.
Do you agree with that? I mean, you haven't changed, not you personally, but the party hasn't really changed in what it's been trying to do all these elections.
Not really at all. I mean, we're still there doing what we do, and you say we're still there. I'm saying we're still there too. We're actually doing the Tooting by-election.
Are you?
Yeah, on June the 16th, which in actual fact, June the 16th is the exact day that we started the party in 1982.
Oh, right, so there'll be a bit of nostalgia there for you.
June the 16th is also my birthday. June the 16th is also the day that Screaming Lord Such were no longer with us.
Right. What about, though, some of the proposals from your party that have actually become law? I mean, I've always been sort of intrigued by the fact that quite a few of them have become law. Yeah. Anything else now on the table that your party...
Yes, we still want a 99p coin. And our position on the EU is that maybe we should come out and be our own Humpty Dumpty and put ourselves back together again.
So it's an in-out, in-out.
Shake it all about.
Right. Well, they're on your side at the moment, Michael Howard.
All support welcome.
All support welcome. Yeah, well, I'm sure it is at this stage. Have you had any run-ins with the party, the Monster Raving Loony party, in your seat when you were an MP?
As far as I can recall, I always had excellent relations with the Loony party candidate.
Right, but didn't former party member Lord Toby Jugg stand against you in 2005?
Oh, yes. That was all right.
Was it?
Yeah.
Did you get to know him?
A bit.
So it wasn't a problem then for you?
Not a problem.
But you shared a platform, obviously, then at the time.
We did.
So in terms of your writing, are you influenced by what's going on in the current climate? I mean, or is this something you've been planning for ages about the Monster Raving Loony party?
I have been planning it for ages, but of course you're always listening to what's happening at the moment. And actually, I sometimes think, you know, it's not original. Shakespeare did it and the Greeks did it, but I actually often think if you want to comment on what's happening now, it's often very useful to look back at the past equivalent. So I did the play This House at the National about the 1970s,
which was
Parliament.
great.
Thank you very much.
I mean,
so I thought that was a helpful way to look at what coalition politics was like today, and equally just to get you know, there are party fractions all across Westminster at the moment, and I think looking at that through Monster Raving Loonies is quite fun.
You mentioned the Welsh Assembly earlier on, which was last Thursday. Do you know we got 5,742 votes in the Welsh Assembly?
And now, is that a record?
Well, yes. 5,742 people in Wales wanted us to represent them in their parliament. And that's the Loony party they're voting for, you know.
So do you think this play will kick-start more of a revival?
Of course it will.
When can we and where can we see the play?
It's opening tonight at the Soho Theatre.
Oh, it's tonight.
We've been previewing a bit, but we open tonight and we run all the way through to June the 18th.
All right. Well, good luck. Thank you for coming in.
At least 20 loonies there.
Are you going tonight?
No, not tonight.
Oh, no.
On the 28th.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Now, there's just time before we go to find out the answer to our quiz.